Hello to you, friends. This is Dhamma on air, but first, the daily contemplation. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha, consummated in knowledge and behavior, totally transcended, expert in all dimensions, knower of all worlds, unsurpassable trainer of those who can be tamed, both teacher and guide of gods as well as of humans, blessed, exalted, awakened, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha. Perfectly formulated is this Buddha Dhamma, visible right here and now, immediately effective, timeless, inviting each and every one to come and see for themselves, inspect, examine, and verify, leading each and every one through progress towards perfection. Directly observable, experienceable, and realizable by each intelligence. Perfectly training is this noble Sangha community of the Buddha's noble disciples. They are training the right way, the true way, the good way, the direct way. Therefore do these 8 kinds of individuals, these 4 noble pairs, deserve both gifts, self-sacrifice, offerings, hospitality, and reverential salutation with joint palms. Since this noble Sangha community of the Buddha's noble disciples is an unsurpassable and indeed forever unsurpassed field of merit in this world, for this world, to honor, respect, support, uphold, and protect. Thank you. Hello to you, friends. This is Dhamma on air, number 41, recorded on the 22nd October of the year 2016 on planet Earth, on the Nagas Mountain, Central Hill Country, Sri Lanka. There are 5 questions, 1 Lotus-Offering extended. But first, the normal intro. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahatto Samma Sambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha. It's grey and windy, little bit. Looks like rain. It's a work some couple of days ago, as you see here. We are approaching the winter monsoon. and it might rain the whole December. So it's slowly coming. But so far, no rain. It look alike. But look alike is not enough for keeping the Dhamma indoor. First, we take the Lotus-Offering, which was offered from a family in Bronx, New York, and it comes right here.
Hello again, friends. This is the second Lotus-Offering. Today is from a family of Mike D. Rikiki, which wishes 3 daughters and wife to be Buddhist. Soraya, Khalil, Aliyah, and Laika. And these we now gonna offer to Lord Buddha's tooth up here under the roof, under the golden roof there. We're also gonna offer these 6 incense sticks, 1 for each person. It's a magnificent sign of all these lotuses. One can get blue and white and red. First I'm gonna wash my feet, the clean feet. The temple lies in behind that door there, up on the first floor. Now we're gonna go up on the first floor. Pinsitavela. So people are rejoicing in Michael's merit and their family's merit, and there's a happy girl. May they rejoice all the way over to Bronx, New York. For familiar Rikiki. That's what I call an incense offering. A massive bundle from family Rikiki. This small temple is for another Deva, which is the same individuality as the next Buddha, Buddha Maitreya. Now we're going to offer water to the Buddha tree. So we go 3 times around the tree, keeping it to the right. So we'll do now. This box is for filtering, so no small animals in the water is being damaged. So there's a filter in front of to ensure harmlessness. For the water to the Buddha tree. third round, last one. Dhamma service, tidying up.
May all rejoice, as the people also did in the video, on this Lotus-Offering from the family in New York, so their 3 daughters will be Buddhist when they grow up. They are in the preschool, school age now. May that be even so, by the force of this offering. Then to the questions. Question 133 goes like this. Why did the Buddha say one finally should let go of the Dhamma? Yes, it's true that he said that. It's because basically, if there is any kind of clinging left, then there will also be suffering. Inevitably. Because of this panic in clinging. In clinging, there's some element of fear of losing. And if there's fear, then there cannot be happiness in the mind at the same time. So if there's fear, then happiness goes away. If there's happiness, then fear goes away. So awakening entails fearlessness of all. And there's no need, when you have done the job and put down the burden and become enlightened and ensure that there are no re-becoming into any further state of being after this body break up. Then there's no need to have the Dhamma. No need to carry it around. The Buddha explained it in a very famous simile called the Simile of the Raft. And it goes somewhat like this, that there's this flood of sense craving, a craving for becoming this and that, a craving for non-becoming this or that, craving for becoming rich, praised, respected, beautiful, young, famous, and craving for not becoming dead, sick, stupid, disrespected, insignificant. And then these pleasures for senses, it's a whole flood that overwhelms the mind continuously. Especially when it's not seen, when it's not realized as a flood. So to cross this flood, which is the same as crossing the flood of suffering, which is the same as crossing the flood of becoming, which is the same as the flood of defilements, mental defilements, which is the same as the flood of samsara, which is flowing beings down the drain of suffering. If one has to cross this flood, then one has to first walk up to the edge of the flood then realizes this flood cannot be crossed without a raft. Then looking around for materials to build a raft, a solid raft, a raft that can do the job, to get one on the other side of this flowing, swiftly flowing, violent river. Then one starts building the raft, timber, lines, rope, anything that can float and hold together. This is a simile for developing the Noble Eightfold Way. Developing right view. Developing right speech. Developing right motivation. Right action. Developing and fulfilling, completing right effort. Right livelihood. Right awareness. And right concentration. Samma-samadhi. It's developing these 8 factors. That's a raft one can cross with. What's on the other side? On the other side is only one thing, but it cannot be explained by one word. It is only one unity. It is only one sameness. It is only happiness. It can also be expressed as deathlessness. It can also be foretold as absolute peace. Full and final freedom from all forms of suffering, frustration, pain, distress, agony, fear, and what have you. That's what on the other side. So to cross to this other side, which is not a metaphysical, idealistic, romantic utopia, but it's a state that is in many ways more real than this state, because it's not changing. It is not temporal. It is outside time. It is outside space, which might be mental creations of the mind, or at least manifestations of the mind. So these are, though great elements, they are tainted by mental construction, mental formation. But Nibbana, the gone out state, is not tainted, it's not fermented, it's not mixed with any mental creation, any fantasy, any formation, any brewing up of something that is not real in the ultimate sense. Okay, one has now developed the Noble Eightfold Path and puts it into the water and thrusts oneself headlong onto this raft and then start working with hands and feet. This corresponds to a learner who has started on the Noble Eightfold Way and has become a stream entrant. He's entered the stream. Now he's in the river on his raft and working full speed to the other side. Having made the raft and thrust it into the river, the job is not over. It's not even easy. But it's compared to making the raft more enthusiastic, more filled with joy. Now you can see the other side. The goal is within reach. So one works with hand and feet and mind and whatever you got, anything that makes you approach the other shore, the far shore. Don't look back on all the other ones. They are just running up and down this near shore, buzzing around with this and with that and with this and that and pop and blah, 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 while they are dying again. So, no mind that. Straight out in the stream. Reaching the other shore, when one sets foot on the ground, wading up, then this is going to an anagami, a non-returner. And when he has reached up on dry land, then it corresponds to, or it's a simile for the awakened state. Then the Buddha pointed out, now the Arhat has reached his goal, he's awakened, he's beyond suffering, he's freed forever, irreversibly, from all suffering whatsoever. What should he then do with the raft? Should he walk around with it on his head? And if so, why so? That would be futile, huh? Obviously. He don't need it anymore. He don't need it. So he can push it out, back, let it drift to the other side. Then someone can reuse the raft. As we're doing right now. This raft was spoken of 2,500 years ago. We are still reusing it today. And it will other beings coming after us, they will keep reusing this raft for the next 2,500 years. Very good raft. Can be used for 5,000 years. Not many of those around, huh? Quality raft. Even though this Noble Eightfold Way raft is the supreme raft, the supreme vehicle, the supreme instrument, then it's still not to be clung to. It is to be released by the Arahant over there at the right time, not before, but at the right time when he has come out up on dry land. He don't need to haul the raft up, he just pushes it back into the stream. So that's why we shouldn't cling. A subtle examining of clinging to the raft is the so-called Mahayana Bodhisattva in Mahayana Buddhism, which says like this, I refuse to be enlightened before all other beings are enlightened. And this is regarded to be very fine, but actually it's futile, because the number of beings is infinite, it's not finite. So there will never be a time that all other beings, in the absolute sense, are enlightened. And if all beings say they made this vow, then no one will be enlightened at all. It will stop, it will dry out Nibbana, simply. So that's one stop short of crazy, I would say, to promise that, to make that vow. I will not be enlightened before all other beings are enlightened. And then be proud of it. That these Hinayana, small vehicle people, they cross the stream of samsara. No, no, no. That's clinging to the path itself. So the path itself, the Noble Eightfold Way, early Buddhism, the Dhamma, is also something that can be clung to. And therefore it should be released in the end. But not before. I hope this answered the question about clinging and letting go of also the Dhamma. Further or upstream the path, much before that, the Buddha also said, which also beings have somewhat difficulties in understanding, one should give up good activities also. First one should give up bad activities, evil karma, detrimental probability making. Should be given up. Whether by mentally thinking something bad, wrong, evil, ethically wrong, or saying it or doing it, one should give it up. Then one doesn't accumulate bad probabilities in the future. Then one do a lot of good, like teaching Dhamma, sharing Dhamma, assisting in the process of sharing Dhamma, which is the supreme gift. Sappedana Dhamma Dana Jinati. The gift of Dhamma overcomes or conquers all other gifts. Why so? Because it's giving deathlessness. And nothing is better than that, of course, for all beings who can die. But even that should be given up. And that the Buddhists also, they also give that up. They also give that up. They give up their life. The Buddha also gave up that he couldn't have lived longer if Ananda had requested him to do so. Then he could have lived significantly longer, in the order of 20 years longer. But he gave it up. He had done what should be done, both for himself and for others also. The Noble Eightfold Way was completely established, and it is even today. So one should give up also good doing. One should give up all activity, all sankhara, all intentional activity in the end. When should one give up the good activity? If you have an accumulation of bad, then you should do good up to that the accumulation of bad is neutralized. Then there's zero. Then it's time to kind of like fade off and still off karma. If one keeps doing good, then one will gain divine existence. But divine existence is not the end of suffering. They come back here today and have to sit and look at YouTube Dhamma videos to regain the Dhamma and the way and the path out of the jungle of suffering and of wrong views. You are one example of these divine beings. There have been divine beings for billions of times. Me too. We cannot remember. But that's only a hard disk error. Nothing more than that. A technicality. One day we will remember. One day we will remember. At the moment of enlightenment, at the moment of your enlightenment, and all beings enlightened, you will remember this conversation better than you do tomorrow. Question 134. Is it right ethical livelihood for a Buddhist to trade in the stock market? The short answer is yes. But there are some qualifications. Let's just take right livelihood for lay people again. There are 5. It is not trading with dead beings. That is not trading with meat, fish, flesh, whether prepared or unprepared, in the freezer or in a restaurant. That's wrong livelihood. It's not trading with or making a living, professional living, by trading with live beings for slaughter or for exploitation, such as chickens for slaughter, cattle, pigs, rabbits, anything that can be slaughtered, fish, bringing up fish for slaughter. Not fish in an aquarium, or birds that are sold as pets. It's not wrong livelihood. But if they're killed or in any way harmed, then it is wrong livelihood. Similarly, with trading with human beings such as slaves, prostitutes, whether male or female, whether young or old, selling your old children to pedophiles, being an alphonse, that is kind of like guiding, trading with prostitutes and living by that. That's wrong livelihood. People smuggling, very popular today because of it's very expensive to get out of war-plagued countries, especially in the Middle East. Also wrong livelihood. Making a living trading with any kind of weapons, making a living, professionally earning money by selling any kind of poison, and making a living selling or dealing with or smuggling any kind of illegal drugs or alcohol. Why is that so? Why is that wrong livelihood? Because that inherently infers, produces suffering for other beings. And because the reality works as a mirror, then this suffering is mirrored back to the seller, who earns money by plaguing other beings, harming other beings, killing other beings, making other beings suffer. Then this person, him or herself, of course, will suffer themselves. They don't realize that, but they will eventually. In this regard, there's a story about a man which illustrates this beautifully. He was living in this way. When there was drought and everybody was poor, then he went around from village to village and bought up the pigs, the small pigs. Then he took them home and he had a big pigsty. And then he fed them up, and then when they were grown up, then he took them alive and hanged them up in their legs, and then he scolded them alive and put hot water into their anus until it came out the mouth, so to clean their intestines. And then he killed them, and then he butchered them, and then he sold what he could sell, because they have no refrigeration at that time. At the crossroads, the meat, and then the rest of the meat he and his family eat themselves before it became rotten. So he tortured these pigs the most inhumane way you can imagine. Then it so happened that his life went on, and then in the end of his life, he started behaving like a pig himself. He started grunting and started crawling around on the floor. And he started behaving like a dominant male pig of this size. And he was a big fellow. And his own family become frightened of him. So they caged him in with the villagers' help. They caged him in because he was apparently insane. And he fought inside this cage to come out so much that in the end he died of it. And they asked the Buddha about it. He went into hell after that. So even before his death, even though he would have not claimed so, the 30 or so years he was a pig butcher, he would say, no. You see, I butchered pig for 10 years. Nothing has happened to me so far. Huh? But in the end, something did happen to him. It happened so violently and so severely and so gravely that his own family, his own kids, they became afraid of him while he was still alive. So profuse was his madness, his pig madness. So then back to the stock market. Stock market is its right livelihood if it's done correctly. If there's no insider trading, which is the usual dirty tricks to get insider information from companies before they make a press release, then make the investment whether to take out or to sell or to buy stocks in this particular firm, because you can foresee whether the course goes up and down. So insider trading and all these dirty tricks in the stock market, which is well known and well documented, and also Ponzi schemes and various other tricks in the stock market, futures and so on, which can ruin whole societies and which have put down several banks and induced several economical crises for the entire world. So this is a very volatile area, very sensitive, this economic area. So this places high ethical demands of those who partakes in the investments. Unfortunately, these people who partakes in the stock market investments, they are usually very greedy. They want to earn big money very quickly. So they often are brutally ruthless businessmen. And this, I think, should be changed. gradually. If we look for Japan and also to some of the modern companies coming up like Google, then they have something called social responsibility, social corporate responsibility. That is to say that a company should not only live like a parasite in the society or the world it works in and earns money from. It should also view itself as a biological organism that keeps its employees happy and the people in the surrounding society which it serves and functions in also happy, because then this company will obviously last for a very, very long time. Those companies who do not do that, people will look at them as such, as greedy, as someone who lives like a parasite on society. And in this regard, I think this is of course maybe a naive dream, that both corporate execs and public politicians and public servants, they should all have a meditation course and a course in Buddhist ethics, so they can understand that what they do inside these companies, inside the state and government, when you have been given power, you can by no means escape that. You're responsible for that because you earn your money on it. So this corporate social responsibility, I think is something that Buddhist economy has to give to the world, to look at another way. There's by no means any unethical in earning money in an honest way. That's okay, that's earning a living. And also big money, doesn't matter whether big or small. It is the way you do it. Here in Sri Lanka, it is very, very common that banks, major companies, and so on, they make significant donations to the hospitals, to new CT scanners or MRI scanners or ICU departments or burn departments or something like that. So all the banks, because they are functioning in a Buddhist country, they look at it as a kind of like self-given, obvious obligation that they have to participate with significant donations to the society that they are living in locally. So they support the society, and they are very proud to do that. And I think it's a good thing, because then the companies are also working like individuals, like entities that are improving society. They're not only blood-sucking them and parasiting them, they are also improving, they're giving something back to the societies. And this, I think, it can be, should be spread out more among all professionals at any level, kind of like work for that, clubbing for that, bringing that up at the executing meetings and so on, at all levels. Say, what can we do? Can we do something here? Can we go in and give a hand? Can we go in and give a help? It's also very good advertisement. Huh? That a company goes in and takes responsibility for the society they work in and they earn money from. Half an hour in. So much for the stock market. But basically, in short, if done rightly, it is definitely right livelihood. And if since stock market can be very, very lucrative, one can also participate in doing significantly good. So it's a golden opportunity in the Buddhist sense to improve society and thereby one's own future from these significant amounts one have available as a stock market financier. Question 134. What is and how does hatred, ill will, anger, aversion, dislike and jealousy arise? Deep down is due to ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. Not knowing, this is suffering. Not understanding, craving is the cause of suffering. Not comprehending, absence of craving equals absence of suffering. And not understanding that is necessary to develop the Noble Eightfold Way to end suffering. When this absence of understanding of the Four Noble Truths are not there, then two things springs up. So they do like that. If understanding of the Four Noble Truths is there, full understanding at that particular moment, there's neither greed or hate. As soon as this greed or hate comes up at the same time, because like and dislike are just two sides of the same coin. It's mirrored states. Example, if you like food, then you dislike being hungry. If you like sex, then one dislikes living in celibacy. If one likes being rich, then one dislikes being poor, and so forth. So like towards one state is the same as dislike towards the opposite state. So that's why they arise and cease together. But they are always slightly unbalanced in an individual. One will have a preponderance either to anger and hate and aversion, or to greed, pleasure, lust, or to ignorance and confusion. So one of these will kind of like dominate the mind. This can last many universal cycles. On the more short-term scale, then greed, hate, this was the question, hate, let's take hate, if we dilute hate, take hate and dilute a little bit, then we get rage, dilute that anger, dilute that wrath, dilute that irritation, dilute that opposition, dilute that stubbornness, dilute that mental rigidity. So there is all a continuum of states with different intensity of opposition from the mind. It wants to get rid of something. It wants to get away from something. It wants to forcefully, violently push it out of mind. It don't want it. Opposite is greed. It wants it. This is a pull in the mind. This one is a push. So this push-pull is what has to be silenced. At the short term, and you can notice that for yourself, this ill will, this anger, this wrath, this irritation, this opposition often arise at the thought like this. This person, this organization, this religion, this team, this entity, this thing, this phenomena has done me or those I like bad, or is doing something wrong, evil to me or to those I like now, or in the future, this person or entity or organization, they will do something evil to me or to those I like. Or the other way around. This person, thing, organization or entity will do something good to those I dislike, to those I think is my enemy, or to those who are enemies of those I like. At the thought along these lines, these 6 lines, then anger, irritation, opposition arise. Inflames the mind and burns it up from inside. All joy, all happiness, all contentment, all satisfaction, it's gone like that. Clack, is out. Huh? Just look at the face that is angry. Huh? Looking and very ugly, very unhappy, very enraged, like an animal, or lower, subhuman in the truest sense of that word. So again, it arises because of ignorance of the Four Noble Truths, and it arises because of the thought that another one will do bad towards me or those I like, or good to those I dislike. So much for question 134. I may say that, of course, this anger is cured by immediately seeing it as it is. Anger is in my mind. Hate is in my mind. How do I dispel hate, anger, irritation from this mind? I do metta, infinite friendliness towards this person in particular, or entity, or club, or religion, or organization, or whatever. And in general to all, this side, that side, that side, that side, up and down, below as above, to an infinite degree, without any exception whatsoever. May all beings be happy. Also those I perceive as my enemy, or as the enemy of those I like. May they be happy. May they see it as it really is. May they purport themselves in a way that produces happiness for them as well as all other beings. Then the anger evaporates instantly. It's gone. Then the smile comes back. The smile comes back. But it takes awareness to see the state first. Often one can be enraged and anger and have grudge, internal grudge. These they also do. Paranoia. Long time, for hours, for days, for weeks, for years, without noticing it. It's completely overwhelming the mind, flooding the mind, enveloping the mind, burning it like inside a bottle, without the mind seeing it itself. So it's an example of mind going outside. Mind going outside in the fire of rage, of wrath, of hate. Is outside. Inside mind is only light. Luminous is the mind, said the Buddha. Papasara. Luminous from all sides, shining up on everything. There's no rage there. So, at the moment the mind sees mind, then it can recognize, there's this anger. And if it can admit to itself that there is anger, or any derivative of it, such as irritation, opposition, stubbornness, then it can turn around and say, what's the antidote? It's universal, infinite, friendliness, goodwill, harmlessness. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. May all beings become thus happy in this way. Question 135. Please do a Dhamma talk on Devas in early Buddhism. I have already done that. It's called the 31 Levels of Existence. But I'll do another talk on it. A small story. I'll have to say that there is a whole story about Devas in Buddhism. It's called Vimanavatthu. It means the mansions of the divine mansions, or the stories of the mansions. And it's like that. It's in the Tipitaka. It's Mukayana. He went up after having seen it, and then he thought maybe I should go up and ask the Devas how they become Devas. Then we can tell about it down here. Then he asked the Buddha whether he should do it or not. Then the Buddha said, yes, it's a very good idea. Then he did so. But this is a story that is more spontaneous. This is story number 16 about Sirima or Sirima. Sirima. She was a luxury prostitute, an exceedingly beautiful woman who took in the order of $10,000 for one night at the Buddhist time. She was Jivaka's youngest sister, and Jivaka was King Pasenadi's doctor and also the Buddha Gautama's personal doctor. Well-known lady. She had several servants, in the order of 10 servants, because she was fairly rich, because she was so beautiful. Then, however, she was also a very good Buddhist, and in the end she gave up her profession as a luxury prostitute and invited the order of monks. Several times she invited the Buddha. She became a stream entrant. She entered the stream. So she became noble, and of course then she refused to be a prostitute or to marry or to have children. But she kept inviting the Sangha on a ticket. She gave tickets to 8 monks at a time to come to her house, and then they were served delicious food. Then it so happened that a young monk came there and he got food for 3. And he came back to Jetavana monastery and reported that he's got the food for 3. And then he spoke of this extremely delicious food because she had expert cooks. She was a luxury prostitute. Huh? She was used to supreme luxury, also of the culinary kind. So they were very impressed, but he then spoke about her beauty. And then another young monk who heard about the beauty, he fell in love with her just from the description. And then he went there next day. However, she was sick at that time. She became sick after serving the first monk. And then the second monk came. He fell so deeply in love with her, even though she was sick. She has to be brought in to serve the food by her own hand, by her waiters. But even though she was sick, he felt so desperately in love, he couldn't eat anything. So he just sat there with his bowl, with this luxurious food. Then he went back, and he was sick with love, so impassioned. He lied down, he put his bowl aside, and then he lied down and he wouldn't eat anything. And the bowl's just standing there brewing and rotting. At the same night, Sirima died and was reborn at level 10. Those who delight in creation, the Devas who delight in creation. And the story reached the Buddha, and the Buddha sent message to the king. Say, don't cremate her, don't bury her, just put her on the ground, in the charnel ground, for those who are not buried, the poor people. And the king, he said so. And then 1 day went, 2 days went, 3 days went, and this body of this excessively beautiful woman became bloated and oozing with maggots. It was like a boiling pot of rice. So many maggots was there. Coming out the mouth, coming out, oozing out of all the 9 holes in the body. And then the Buddha say, now it's time to go and look at Sirima. And then the king, he sent a drummer around in city. Everyone except the children has to go to the charnel ground together with the Buddha and the Sangha to see at the Courtesan, the luxury prostitute, Sirima. And those who don't go, they have to pay $80. So everybody went there. So Buddha asked the king, who's this? This is Sirima. It is, said Buddha. So looking at this unrecognizably swollen body, which blows fairly quickly in the tropical heat. After 3 days, it looked like a balloon. Discolored, a very, very forceful stench. Around of several hundred meters, you can smell it. So the Buddha asked the king to try to sell her, and she took this around $10,000 for a night. So she asked, who wants Sirima for $10,000? Nobody said anything. Then the king asked the Buddha, what should I do? I said, put down the price. Who wants for $5,000? 1,000, 100, 10, 5, 50 cents, 10 cents. Who wants it for nothing? Nobody wanted this body. Then the Buddha said, see, so is it. Before, yesterday, or the year before that, she took $10,000 for one night. So is this body, so treacherous is this body. It's only delicate and attractive because of clothing, jewelry, perfume, ornaments, cosmetics. But look at it now. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. So is the fate of all bodies. They are a bag of bones. Will become oozing out with maggots from all 9 holes. A bag of bones oozing out with maggots from all 9 holes. That's the body. Not something attractive, not something to fall in love with, not something to adorn. Like a painted puppet, he said. It was his expression, a painted puppet. Sirima, who has then been born, now we are on planet Earth, on level 5, human level. Sirima, who is on planet 10, a young Devata, still female, delighting in creation. She wondered where she came from, and then she saw with her divine vision that the Buddha was standing over her body. And then quickly she took her retinue and descended there and appeared in a visible form in front of this crowd as this young, shining, exceedingly beautiful divine being. This Vangisa, the first Buddhist poet, an adult at that time, he asked permission to ask the Devata, the former Sirima, about who she was. And then she told that she was Sirima. And it was because of giving and respecting the 3 jewels, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, that she had gained this divine existence. Then she vanished right there, and people went back to their bus and doings, and the Buddha went back to the monastery. So this is a report from this one about Sirima Jivaka's younger sister, her death and her divine existence. Question 136. What does it signify when coming to Buddhism while young or old? Yeah, if you come young, people who come young, who either ordain young or are born in a Buddhist country, in a Buddhist family, or in it means generally that either they have been born in that culture before, so they have had touched Buddhism before, or they have prior training as a monk or as a nun, or they have been schooled in Buddhist training, or they have been monks and nuns themselves many times before in prior lives. Then they are reborn into this proximity, closeness of the Dhamma again. This means also means closeness in temporal state, cultural state, and also temporal state. They meet it when young. Otherwise, if you have been slightly in earlier lives, been slightly disrespectful, saying, this is just blah, 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 religious superstition, or idealistic romantic thinking, or something that the priests say to impose fear in people, or other kinds of non-truths, very detrimental, disadvantageous lies for the whole that is poisoning the whole humanity and the whole system of beings, then one will be reborn far from the Dhamma. And then one can be Buddhist, but then one have to fight for it. One have to do significant effort to come back to the path, even though one realizes it. But one should know that everyone forgets, and this also goes for Bodhisattva. One interesting story in this kind is that on the former Buddha, there's been 4 Buddhas. The last one was Siddhartha Gautama. Before that was Kassapa. And when Buddha Gautama, he was together with Kassapa. Before he was a young Brahmin son of a Hindu priest, very rich, very well educated, very arrogant. And he had a friend called Gatikara, which was a pottery maker, clay pot maker. And they were young friends, and they were out bathing in the river. And they were from different castes. The Brahmin was high caste, Gatikara, the pot maker, he was low caste. But they were still friends. Were out bathing in the river. And then Buddha Kassapa, he sat up in a forest not far from the river. And then Gatikara, who was a very devout Buddhist, he said to his friend, the Hindu priest's son there, we should go up and see Buddha Kassapa after we have taken this bath. No, said the Bodhisattva Siddhartha Gautama at that time. I won't see such a shaveling, used a derogatory, disrespectful expression. And at the same time, Gatikara said we should go up. And a second time, Siddhartha Gautama, Bodhisattva, he denied. And then, even though he was not allowed to touch his friend because of caste rules, he took his friend by the hair knots. These Brahmins, they had funny hairs, kind of like Rastafari hair, that was curled up in knots. And he took him by 2 knots and then pulled him under the water until he was almost drowning. And then he took him up and said, we have to go to Buddha Kassapa. And then his friend there, shocked about his friend's behavior, he was touching him for the first time in his life. He was almost drowning him. And then he suddenly said that has to go. He understood that he had to go. And then he said, okay, we go. And so he went up there, the Bodhisattva, and met the Buddha, Kassapa. And even though he was this very proud, arrogant Hindu priest's son, high class, well-educated person, then by just one speech by Kassapa Buddha, then he decided to ordain. Right there on the spot. So he gave up his whole youth, his whole social status, richness, everything, future, everything right on the spot. And then became a Buddhist monk. So it says something about this. As long as there's no remembrance of the Dhamma, then one can be a forceful opponent to it. But as soon as one hear it, is a reunion with it, rejoined with it, meet it again, then one can remember it. One can recognize it from remote memory. Remote memory means that one can remember it. One has the information, but one cannot remember that one can remember it. And then one just needs slight little touch, then suddenly the whole thing folds out, the box opens, and the floods of truth is overwhelming one. Usually this is so when the teacher meets a pupil, then this is a kind of like a fire. It burns up like a fire of gasoline, a fuel fire of the Dhamma. Suddenly there's recognition of the Dhamma. Very pleasant. It's kind of like a revolution that is going on in mind. It's a very joyous revolution, but also very violent, forceful, or turbulent, and usually causing a lot of sudden changes in this particular individual's life, because he suddenly realized, here's the absolute. I've been searching for it, but I've been messing around with all kinds of views and superstitions and blah, 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 politics and so on. There it is. Now I know it. I found it again. So it's, in short, you can say it's prior conditioning that is determines whether you meet the Dhamma in this life or in the next life as young as old. It's prior conditioning, prior training, prior acceptance, and also prior resistance, prior opposition. All this mixed up, because all karma is mixed, both good and bad, they determine whether one will meet the Dhamma as young or as old, as clever or as stupid, as respected or as disrespected, as male or female, as young or rich, in this country or in that country, and so forth. Prior conditioning, 59 minutes and 7 seconds. And this was the Dhamma on Air number 41. Thank you for your attention. And again, remember to click subscribe down there on the small red sign so you can hang on all the way home to Nibbana. And thank you to the regular supporters, the reliable dayakas, the occasional donors, and to those 4 persons who gave food the last time. If you want to contribute with anything, then hover up here with your mouse, and then there will appear a small eye in a white circle. Click the white circle. Then there's several opportunities open for you right there. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly, unsurpassable, perfectly enlightened was the blessed Buddha. Last but not the least, have a nice day. Thank you.
You heard bhante.samahita from the Cypress Hermitage on the Knuckles Mountain, Bambarella, Central Hill Country, Sri Lanka. Please subscribe to the Google group Buddha Direct and visit the website whatbuddhasaid.net. May all beings become thus happy thereby. Thank you. Namo Tasso Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa. Worthy, honorable, and perfectly self-enlightened was the blessed Buddha.